Welcome back, everyone, to the second part of episode 5 of Plan to Protect with Melodie Bissell, the safest podcast on the internet. Last week, we spoke about the 3 risks presented by online engagements. So we covered things like content, contact, and conduct. And we also spoke about the first 5 steps in creating a safe environment. So, Melodie, would you be able to summarize those for us?
Yes, Amanda, I will. They're the first 5 tips that we provided you for online engagement. Number 1 is do your research. Number 2, put together your business plan or your strategy. Make sure that you've got it documented as a plan that you can submit to your leadership with input from your insurance company, your whole strategy on paper so that you can get written approval to proceed. Step number 3 is screen and train your volunteers, your workers, those team members that will be doing programming online. This may be a whole new team of people. It may be people that aren't normally involved in your programs, but you're screening and training them. You're going to provide additional training for those that will be doing online engagement. Number 4 is identify what your social focus is and make sure that your topics that you're going to be covering, the content that you're covering, the curriculum that you're covering, you've got approval to teach that and involve that curriculum. And number 5 is be very careful in selecting the platform that you use. And this is where we ended off last week, where we really strongly encourage you to use licensed platforms that are licensed to your organization, not to your team members. Step number 6 is age segmentation. Segment your audience based on their age, just like you would if you were doing an on-site activity. Give them something of relevance that they can join in on by segmenting them based on their age, which will reduce the risk. Motivation to engage increases where communications are seen to be relevant and tailored to social media intervention, to specific groups, and it will enhance engagement. Remember that if you have a program that is open to many, many different age groups and it's made public, a predator could be in that group within 5 minutes.
That's a really scary thought that children and youth could be exposed to a predator within minutes. This enhances really that importance of regular monitoring, not just of personnel, but even of the people that are participating in your group.
Step number 7 is that speaks to the importance of updating your policies and procedures for online activity. That's something that we've been doing with our members over the last 6 months, is reminding them that the policies and procedures that they had in 2019, certainly in 2010, even in the past, do not include the amount of time and energy and effort we're putting into online engagement. Online activity, as I said earlier in this podcast, is a high-risk activity, so it takes additional exceptions, requirements, procedures to ensure accountability and supervision. So sample policies for online engagement would include screening, confidentiality, supervision, purpose parameters, the platforms that can be used, bullying, harassment, and reporting and responding to abuse. Your policies should require that personnel honor the age restrictions of the platform that you choose. And remember that you are role modeling good digital citizenship.
Along with these policies, it's a high-risk activity, so you really need to ensure that there is a letter of informed consent that's signed by each parent or guardian of that vulnerable person before you're engaging with them in any online activity. So a letter of informed consent, it would include something that outlines the risks that are present, but it also outlines the measures that the organization is taking to mitigate those risks to really be providing a safe online environment. All right, step 8.
Step number 8, don't let your guard down. Use approved and safe outreach opportunities to get the ball rolling. Developing an internet presence will not happen overnight. It can take a long time to build up a profile and user base. Use educational outreach activities and existing contacts as a starting point, which will drive traffic to your social media platform. Quickly, your platform or activities could go viral, so be ready for that growth and activity when it happens. Be really selective of your partners and advertisers if you go that route. If you're not careful, you may be accommodating the opportunity for risky relationships to happen. Make sure you target your market to your known audience. And I've really cautioned some of our clients and members about this. If you want it really to be public, know that you're increasing the opportunity for risk.
And I've said it twice before, but I'm going to say it again. You really have to be ensuring that there is regular monitoring on the platform and of those engagements that are occurring on the page or on the forum or whatever you have as public, also private. So you need to also know the capabilities of the platform that you're using. So whether it be blocking users or content, flagging inappropriate comments or users, blocking comments, etc. Okay, so step 9.
Step 9, trial and error. 10 years ago, most of our clients, insurance companies, didn't want anyone to do any online activity, social media presence, texting, anything. Social media is here to stay, and it is where many, many people spend their time, especially young people. It is important that you begin really well with selecting the right platforms, begin to establish a presence and see what works, and invest in strong privacy, confidentiality, policies and procedures from the onset. It'll be much easier if you make sure that you put those things in place in the beginning. Review your campaign metrics to understand who is engaging with you. Find out why and why not, and if your approach is even really necessary.
So understanding your campaign metrics can let you know what content is most successful and engaging and what your audience is interested in. So if you're focused on building the platform for growth, ensure that you are developing content that's enticing to your viewers and other users, whether it be outlining your demographic and catering to those interests and needs, speaking on popular topics, etc. But you always want to make sure that all of the content, all of the communications that you're doing is being done in a thoughtful manner and is always appropriate.
Step number 10, we've come to the end. Launch and mitigate the risks, and don't drop the ball. Frequent formal and informal observation. Audit this quarterly. Pre-approved list of topics and resources. Risks of going off plan. There are risks if all of a sudden at the last minute your team decides they're going to do something completely different. Make sure that you answer the questions that are being raised by your team leaders and team members. Have a frequently asked questions so that your workers know exactly the answers and everybody is following the same guidelines. Recognize and appreciate your personnel. It is taking a tremendous amount of time to do video recording, online engagement activities. So even though you may not be seeing your team members on a regular basis, make sure you recognize them and appreciate them for the work that they're doing. Make sure that you have a whistleblower policy in place and a way to intervene when there's an issue or a concern.
So we do want to just outline a couple of reminders for everybody. So 1, all communication outside of regular scheduled program hours should only be done with a parent and program leader's knowledge and written approval. And two, do not add anyone under the age of 13. If you're doing that, you need to involve the parents. They should be the first point of contact. You can communicate wall to wall or in group settings. You want to be avoiding private messaging, instant messaging, or really having those isolating conversations.
We're going to end here with a couple do's and don'ts. Don't use profanity online. Don't use words and phrases that you wouldn't say over the loudspeaker. Keep it clean. Don't use any nudity or sexually aggressive content of any kind. There's no place for suggestive or explicit content. Don't harass, bully, or gossip. You should block or report anyone who uses messages of this nature. Don't pretend to be someone other than yourself. Don't add or invite people without permission. It's important to get permission from participants, their guardians, especially if they're under 13 years of age, before adding them to any online activities. Don't spam your participants. Consider the frequency and content of your messages. Most platforms prohibit sending multiple messages a day without regard for your participants or with irrelevant content. Don't harm yourself or others. Any messages to threaten harm to yourself or do not demonstrate community safety will be removed probably by the platform administrators. Don't fall for uses outside of your own purposes. Communication should be used to support learning. With minors, avoid using platforms for personal profit or commercial purposes.
Great. So I'm going to finish this off on a more positive note with the quick list of do's. So do continue your vision and mission, but just transition it online. Do programming online and it's such a terrific way to be connecting with your community in the midst of COVID-19. Do check in to make sure that your constituents are safe and well. Do your best to maintain safe programming by adhering to your policies and procedures. Finally, I don't want to say goodbye until I share with our listeners that this podcast has been sponsored by MessageBox. So what is MessageBox? It's a personal communication solution designed specifically for charities and businesses. So Plan to Protect is actually partnering with MessageBox to provide you a way for your staff to communicate with those that you serve with a higher level of accountability. MessageBox is a service that allows organizations to use their main phone number to manage conversations with clients and members, sending them text messages as well as messages from the web. It's really easy to use and it helps you stay in touch and can be used to register attendance during transitioning from COVID-19. Members of Plan to Protect receive basic MessageBox as a member benefit. So if you are interested in MessageBox, check it out on our website under partner links. So that is it for today. Melodie, do you have any last words?
No, but stay safe online.
Well said. Take care, everyone.
Bye.